Hey everyone, it's Vin-Decision. This is going to be a quick tutorial about our Thanksgiving Day sampler. It's a 3-pack. All 3 bottles are for $49.99, so just under $50. Yes, 3 bottles for under 50 bucks. If you're interested in buying them, look at the description below and click on the link. You'll be taken to Grapes of Wine Co. And it'll be easy to fill in. I suggest you get a few packs because this deal likely won't last very long. What we're trying to do is give you some of our favorite wines so you can share them with your friends. And ideally, if your family comes over, this wine is going to help you get through that. So 3 different wines. We have a white wine, a rosé, and a red. I'm going to bring up a few different pictures, a few different maps, kind of help place you along the way if you care to learn along. Ideally, you learn a little bit something here too, if you'd like to. But know that Olé y Obrigado is one of our favorite distributors and importers. So these wines are really top notch. So we're starting with the white wine, which is called Nortico, and it's Alvarinho. So normally we see Albarino with a B as in boy, and when we see that, we know we're in Spain, and we're in Rías Baixas or Galicia at large. When we see Alvarinho with a V as in Victor, we are in Portugal. And so still very close to one another. You'll see this Spain-Portugal map. Portugal is in the gray in this map. I'll show you a Portugal map soon. And Spain is here. So normally we're up here in Rías Baixas, around here when we see Albarino. But right now we are right at the very tip top of Portugal, in Vinho Verde, in fact. But we're working with the grape Alvarinho. What is different about this wine, the Nortico, than Vinho Verde, as you likely know it, is that there's no CO2 trapped inside or added to this wine. The CO2 would normally make a wine fuzzy and a little fritzy. This wine doesn't have that on purpose. It's not supposed to, or at least this wine's not supposed to. And so this wine comes across as a clean, saline, fresh expression of Alvarinho. One of the reasons why that is so is because its proximity to the ocean. We are in the towns of Moncau and Mogaco, which again is this very top of Portugal. And up here, you find really the perfect environment for growing a grape like Alvarinho. You also have, interestingly enough, grapes that are grapes that make their way into this bottle that are 100+ years old, which is utterly insane. Grapes oftentimes are like people in the sense that the older they are, the more wise and complex they are. I know we have people in our lives that aren't like that, but that's the ideal. And that's what's happening in this wine. You cannot fake the power and depth you get in an old vine, and that is surely the case here. So this wine is one that I've been tracking ever since I saw its release in the States. It continually impresses me, and it's the wine I would reach for as I'm beginning a meal, or even if I'm not having any food in front of me. You can very well and very easily drink this on its own, and it does just as well. The wine can do both things. All right, so the next wine we have is rosé. It's liquid geography, and it's 100% Mencia. Mencia is the grape. And so we are traveling to Spain now, and we're in this little village called Bierzo. Bierzo is really on this fringe or cusp of Galicia. In fact, Bierzo today is a bit of a hotbed of winemakers, winemaking. A lot of people have been watching Bierzo because so many great things have been happening. And it is a place that I think has also helped villages around it as well, surrounding areas, kind of launch into what Spain is today. For a while, Spain was sort of making wines that were a little bit bulky, a little bit kind of brooding, and sometimes there was a lot of oak on there, sometimes there was other things. Spain has always made great wines. Let's make that clear. However, for a while, the old sort of roots and terroir was kind of lost. Now today, and really for the last decade, maybe decade plus, that is totally it's totally a different scene. Now Spain is once again focusing on what they do best, in my opinion. And what they do best is representing their unique identity and their unique personality, because many of these grapes are indigenous. Many of these grapes aren't found in other places of the world. And of course, these different locations are very sort of individual locations. They have special features that other places don't have. And so that's what Spain collectively is doing today. And that's what I love about Bierzo. And that's also what I love about this wine. If you think rosé is easy to make, you're wrong. Because even though we see rosé everywhere, it's a really fine balance of fruit and minerality. If the wine is too fruity, it becomes a little bit heavy or coy, or we have a sip and they're like, cool, on to the next. So making a compelling rosé is not the easiest thing to do. What we see here in this picture, and what I wanted to show you, what I immediately think about, is the soil. When you go to Bierzo, you see a lot of vineyards just like this. And what I am especially looking for is not only what these vines look like, these old gnarled vines, which is beautiful. This is exactly what you want. In your glass would be about 50-plus-year-old vines. So pretty old, especially for rosé. But look at the soil. It's made of all these kind of different pieces of rock. And you can tell when a vine exists here, it has to really try and dig through the different layers of sediment to find water. So if you were to look at a vineyard that has this fertile soil and everything is going well, there's a whole bunch of water everywhere, guess what? The likelihood of those vines producing fruit that is or those vines are exciting is very, very minimal. It's relatively low. When you see vines grown on this means that there is a possibility that those vines are grabbing out all the interesting things that are happening in this soil and putting it in your glass. This is that idea of minerality. If you've ever heard that term being used on wine, this is sort of part of that whole idea. That's just cracking the nutshell. But when I see this, I am very confident that what's in the glass is going to be something to my liking. And that's exactly what this rosé is doing. It's going to pair well with anything in the beginning, especially kind of cheese and lighter charcuterie. And it's that kind of perfect primer from white to red. And speaking of red, we have a red as well. And we're going to end with this red. It's called Vara y Pugar, and it's 100% Tintilla. Now, Tintilla might be a grape you've never heard of, a word you've never heard of, and that's totally okay. We are in Spain again, and just to give you a quick review, we started at the top of Portugal, right below Galicia in Vinho Verde land, but we are working with the grape Alvarinho. We then just moved to Bierzo, on the cusp of Galicia again, but to the east, where we had our 100% Mencia rosé. And now we are going all the way down to Jerez, and we are working with 100% Tintilla. Jerez is, of course, best known for sherry, and that's essentially why everyone knows about Jerez. If you have heard about it before, you likely haven't heard of Tintilla, but maybe you've heard of Jerez. And so sherry has really taken the spotlight. That means anything else cool going on there is essentially ignored, and that's sort of fine, but some people know how to pull this beauty out. And one person is Alberto Orte, who makes this wine. He understood that this landscape was suitable to make some really fine red wine. And as he was looking at this, he thought about experimenting with his own. And this is finally what he came up with. And it is oftentimes one of the surprises of any lineup for me. Because first of all, I don't have a ton of reference for Tintilla. And so when I come across it, I am kind of a blank slate. I don't know which way it's going to go. Always, though, when I've tasted this wine and wines from Alberto Orte, they've always had this amazing delicacy and freshness, which always sort of takes my breath away. I don't understand it. I don't quite comprehend it. I mean, you are in this area which doesn't have a ton of elevation. Here, I believe we're at like 200 feet. That's not a crazy amount. However, because of his winemaking and because of how he understands the terroir, this wine comes off incredibly fresh and sleek. Another interesting aspect of this place is, again, its soils. So here you have a totally different soil. This almost looks like a Martian soil. You have a chalky soil. So akin to the soils that you might find in Champagne, when you grow grapes on this soil, you find that some of that kind of chalky texture, that chalky minerality imparts itself into the wine. And that's what's happening here because of this, which is always wild to see this happen. Without this chalky soil, you might have a wine that is maybe a little too heavy, maybe a little too fruity, maybe it just lacks some of that charisma and balance that makes a wine memorable. However, with this soil, you have a total game changer. Not only do you have a wine that is unique to its terroir and to its location and its climate, but you also have a wine that's supremely enjoyable. This wine is perfect with any sort of holiday food. Ideally, it's good food, but it's not always. My family is not known for greatest food. Sorry if you're watching, but ideally, you have friends and family that make great food because this wine will shine even harder, but it will make all that mediocre food look 10 times better. I love this wine for a lot of different reasons, but it's also just a wine that's easy to have and not think too hard about A, the price, and B, what's going on around you. You can sip on it and understand the complexity. You can sip on it and just have a good time. The choice is yours. And for me, those are the wines I grab when I'm with friends and family. So that's why we're bringing it to you. So we have 3 wines. Again, the link is in the description. $49.99 for all 3. You should buy lots of packs. This is going to sell out quickly. So do as you like. Please leave comments below if you like these wines, and please subscribe if you like this content. I hope to see you in real life. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you.